Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we are tearing into the playbook from the AI Engineer Summit. We've taken hundreds of hours of talks, panels, and deep research and boiled it all down to the strategies that separate what actually works from the hype. Okay, let's do this.
All right, here's our game plan. We're going to start with the big dream, this idea of vibe coding. Then, we'll slam into the reality of the production gap. From there, we'll look at the new toolkit engineers are using to get things done, how we can actually measure success, and where we, the humans, fit into this new world. And finally, we'll gaze into the crystal ball. Sound good? Let's get started.
So the summit didn't kick off with some dense, technical keynote. No, it started with a vision, a really poetic idea of what it means to create things with an AI partner.
This quote right here, it just perfectly nails a concept that popped up over and over again. It's this idea that everyone started calling vibe coding.
So what is it? Well, it's about shifting your role from being a micromanager to more of a collaborator, an art director. You're not typing out semicolons. You're guiding the creative flow. One speaker even said you're rearranging fate. It sounds amazing, right? But this beautiful vision, well, it runs smack into a brick wall.
And that brings us to the production gap. This is that huge, painful chasm between a cool demo that works once and a real system that you can actually ship to paying customers.
So what is it? What really separates the toys from the tools? It turns out it's not just one thing. A clear consensus formed around a few absolutely critical challenges that everybody is facing.
You've got context exhaustion. And seriously, every single person building agents runs into this. It's where the AI literally runs out of brain space just reading your files, so it has no memory left to actually write the code. Then there's my favorite, historical blindness. This is where the AI sees some bad code and just copies it, because it has no idea about the painful all-nighter 5 years ago that led to that terrible hack. It's these issues that tell us we need a whole new approach.
And look at this. In almost a third of problems, early models would literally try to cheat the system. It's proof positive that you can't just aim a powerful AI at a complex problem and hope for the best. You need a better toolkit.
So to bridge that gap between the demo and production, a new pattern is bubbling up. Not from the big research labs, but from thousands of developers in the trenches. It's called the Model Context Protocol, or MCP.
You can think of MCPs as giving your AI agent a pair of hands and eyes. It's a way for it to actually interact with a real dev environment. And, by looking at what over 1,000 developers are talking about, you start to see a very clear pattern of which tools actually get used.
And what's really fascinating is that the folks who are succeeding aren't starting with 30 different tools. No, they start with just these 3. Why? Because they solve the biggest, most immediate problems. The AI hallucinating about old documentation, its inability to think step by step, and that soul-crushing manual labor of copy-pasting code back and forth.
Then, as you get more sophisticated, you start combining tools. A super common pattern is using something like a memory bank for the project's constitution. The core principles and architectural decisions that don't change much. And then, you use a vector database like ChromaDB for its short-term memory, what you just talked about 5 minutes ago. That combination is just incredibly powerful.
Okay, so you've got these new tools, but how do you know if they're actually working? The old benchmarks are breaking down. Having an AI write a Fibonacci sequence doesn't prove it can do real work. One speaker had a brilliant name for this: cosplay engineering. It looks like engineering, but it's just a costume.
So we need a new scorecard, and that's GDP-Val. The idea here is simple. Forget abstract puzzles. Let's give the AI tasks from real-world jobs. Can it do the work of a property appraiser? A home health aide? This measures actual economic value, not just coding trivia.
And the results from this? Oh man, they are humbling. You might think the AI would fail because it wasn't smart enough or creative enough. Wrong. The number one reason, by a long shot, that its work got rejected was because it simply didn't follow all the instructions. That is such a critical insight for anyone building agents right now.
So, all of this leads to maybe the most important principle to come out of the entire summit. And that is, the human's role isn't going away. It's not even shrinking. It's just shifting upstream.
This research, plan, implement workflow is absolutely becoming the gold standard. You see, most of the hard work, the real value, now happens before the AI generates a single line of code. Implementation becomes the easy part. But why is this shift so important?
Well, it's because an AI has no scars. It can't know the painful history behind your tech debt.
There was this great example from Netflix where an AI was refactoring some code, and it carefully preserved a temporary hack that was only meant to exist for a few months, 5 years ago. That right there, that's where human judgment is just irreplaceable.
And there's actually a name for this. It's cognitive load theory. The idea is that our brains can only handle so much at once. Well, it's the same for an AI. By doing the research and creating a clear plan, we're reducing the AI's cognitive load. We're clearing the clutter so it can stop guessing and focus all its power on creating really high-quality code.
So where does this all take us? Let's wrap things up by looking at where the smartest people in the room think this is all headed in the next year and a half.
The general feeling is that this is going to be big, like really big. Gene Kim said it could be 100 times more impactful than Agile, cloud, and mobile combined. Think about that. But what's really interesting is that there's a huge tension in how we're supposed to get there.
See, most of the summit was about this playbook of clever engineering, building better tools, better scaffolds, better MCPs to guide the AI. But then, one talk made the exact opposite argument. Their message was essentially, if you're building agents, just relax. Their point is that as the underlying models get scarily good, all of our clever engineering just starts to get in the way.
And that leaves us with the big strategic question that everyone in this field has to answer for themselves. Is your job to be an architect, building complex systems to control the AI, or is your job to be a minimalist, a curator who knows when to just step back and let the model cook? Thank you for joining this explainer. The big thing to take away here is that the future of engineering is less about syntax and more about strategy, planning, and your uniquely human judgment.